Hey guys, I'm Cloudstalker on why I prefer the Sentinel over the Longbow. Right before we get started, I wish to say that this isn't a video trying to prove that the Sentinel is better than the Longbow in any way or form, rather trying to prove where it stands out on its own quite comfortably with its own unique style of play. There are a lot of people talking about the Sentinel who have displayed very little faith for it on various forums, and I, like many of you, was kind of underwhelmed with the gun when it first came out, paying it almost no attention after the first few games as it felt really weak. But that all slowly changed after a while when I tried to use it in a kind of a different environment. But I'll get to that later. Let's start by looking at the stats first. So I know what you're thinking. Just looking at the stats, you can clearly see the Longbow have a significant advantage over the Sentinel, not only in the fire rate, but also doing pretty well in the damage department. So the DPS of the Longbow is leaps ahead with about 1.3 shots per second, while with the Sentinel you get 0.53 shots per second. But stats aren't everything, and that's what this video is about. My move from the Longbow to the Sentinel had a lot to do, of course, with the gameplay. Now everyone has their own playstyle, and hence their own unique set of guns they'd like to use. But I'm not talking about player-to-player style only. I'm talking about the underlying game style of Apex Legends itself. In situations like trying to catch enemies when their guard is low, or just normally third-partying a fight, the Longbow would and should decimate any opponent, but this isn't really a game where you get to one-shot people all in one go, and so quickly. Well, ignoring the Kraber and the occasional massive shots. Now, there are many variables helping one to survive in this game, like having a small body frame to having a defense ability that lets you leap around away into the concretes of Skyhook. And let's not forget the large quantities of heals and shields we all carry. Hence this game is rather forgiving. So where I really found the Sentinel to shine is when I played with it in higher lobbies such as Diamond and above. Here, most games would be spent camping to a certain degree. Most fighting happened cover to cover, and players would really peek out and spend a little bit of time outside, but would hurry back inside after dealing some damage or being dealt a few hits. Everyone would try to at minimum reach top 6 or obviously try to win to further their rank progress. And it is here where I found the Sentinel to really stand out of the crowd. I would easily be tormenting the enemy without taking as much as a scratch, and this is one of the reasons the Peacekeeper works so well too. You deal massive amounts of damage, you get back into cover, get out, hit the next shot, and your enemy is either dead or, well, quite hopeless. But most would argue that wait, the Longbow can do the exact same thing and perhaps even better due to its fire rate. And yes, it definitely can. But you need to understand that the main goal here isn't just to trade shots, but rather deal enough damage as possible while taking as little back as possible, which would naturally allow your fellow teammates and you to rush in as they waste time to heal. Now, adding into the equation that you have teammates with you who are hopefully doing some decent damage themselves, let's move over to the situations that I feel the Sentinel is a shoo-in for. On paper, the Sentinel should kill someone with 3 shots, while it would take 4 with a Longbow. You can also see that the damage done to the legs by the Sentinel is higher to compensate for its fire rate. So imagine hitting 2 shots with the Sentinel, that's about 30 damage extra dealt. Saying that out loud may seem a bit ridiculous, but let's face it, every little bit of damage counts, especially if these are sniper fights. You'll probably be trading shots, and due to that little added damage, your opponent will not be coming out after your second shot. If they do, they really like taking high risks, and will probably die as a result. Hence, even if you argue that they might heal back after the second shot, they're probably using way more resources than you in terms of healing themselves. Plus, with the new inventory changes, it's almost a lot harder to hold all those cells and batteries and shield cells. I meant health. Now, the disruptor mode is kinda a bonus for me. Well, it's worth it if you have a 3-man squad and you have a rush addict like I do in my team, and you use it in sync. I personally rarely ever use it in mine, since it's a tad too slow for direct confrontations or third parties. But if fights do seem a bit sluggish, I do pop it out. But like I said, it really requires specific situations. Now, this isn't to say that the Sentinel is better than the Longbow. I only wish to display that there are tons of places where the Sentinel really brings the best out. For me personally, I just really love the whole feel of the Sentinel. It has a way cleaner ADS than the Longbow for me, and it feels much more satisfying to use every shot. And I wouldn't say that it's the gun that I usually have in my loadout, but if I'm using a sniper, this is the gun I have, because if I do ever get in sniper fights, I'm almost always coming on top. If I would change anything to balance it out a teensy bit more, to make it a bit more attractive to the player base, I would probably make the disruptor mode activate faster, because sniper shots don't really always come by so easy. Or I would make the cost a tad less, like 2 or 3 cells. Obviously there are tons of situations which suit the Longbow, and probably more so in normal casual games. The Sentinel does really feel a bit lackluster in all those normal games due to how slow it responds, but I do pick it up in ranked every now and then when the game does feel it's gonna go a bit slowly. Anyway, I hope I was able to bring my point across towards the end. After all, in the end, this is really something that depends on your own playstyle. Comment about how you feel about the Sentinel and how it can be made better, and give a like and subscribe if you really liked the video. That's all from me. I hope you all have an awesome day. Thank you, and take care.